This perspective and festival is so much deeper than the surface level.
But
There's a lot of passion to it.
and that's
You
why he
think
has
for
to
me
be
it's
at the
just-
table.
They think it's just fed, it's just fun, it's
No,
just
because
pleasure.
that's all it is for
But
people
there's
like
so
me.
much more.
Because for people like me, that's all it is. And I've been blessed to be around people like Shalana and from Shamari and listening to them and following them to recognize the cultural significance and even the free up. Like for me, I don't use it like that's how I get rid of the year. You know, when I come down the road, that's me telling the year, thank you. But here we go, right? And so, but I didn't understand the context of why this even matters. So when I think about where to cut money from, if Emanuela was in charge alone, this money would be going someplace else. You know, like, hey, y'all want festival, find some private investors, but government money going someplace else. So, you know, but that's why it's important for people like us to be on the same table.
Correct.
Because then when we have that dialogue and when we have that discussion, then we get to a part where it's like, we cutting it when you know, like it's
Might be a little detrimental.
but there is still a direct link to what I like. So if I'm saying it's all about the children, there's a direct link to understanding your culture, your heritage, and children getting that exposure from young for free, right? Like that's why the government will pay for it because that experience should not be at only who could afford it.
Correct.
Yes.
I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't at the table.
And we're one of the only islands in the Caribbean that provide a free festival, right?
Yeah, we're the only island in the Caribbean
Literally the
territory,
only.
that where all of the entertainment is free. It's a 100% free carnival festival celebration.
Look at that.
That's right.
We're also the only place within the territory where you're actually able to experience the cultural celebrations 3 times a year. So, for example, St. Kitts and Nevis, they have their own things separate times, but that's 2 times in a year. Here within the territory, you could enjoy the summer, winter, and spring events.
So
And then you got Alfred and all the other pieces.
So, so you have, so now you see you have, that's the slogan, come 3 reasons of that, right?
Correct.
So, and all that uniqueness, but to mention a point that you brought up, Emanuela, in terms of that people don't understand the behind the scenes when it comes to campaigning, it's really mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
like
why you
Mo
just
said,
suss out the
yeah,
weeds.
like
That's why
Mo
we
said,
make sure we get the best of the best in the table.
like Mo said, right? We telling Shamar, yeah, you know, we ready, and
I laugh.
and yo, he laughing, but he not laughing. He telling me, okay. He said, okay, are you ready? He said, okay, are you ready? But he said, in couple months, and then when I come to me and tell me,
Listen,
You're tired.
man,
you can hit the full lang.
Some,
Right? Like, and I use horse terms because the people I did politics around always look at politics like a good horse race.
You know,
right?
first lap is the trial lap. That's like
Yeah,
NASCAR. You just
yeah.
warming up the engine,
That's
making
your
sure your
primary.
tires
That's
stay
your
on.
primary.
So,
That's seeing if you have electability at hand,
Correct.
seeing if you have the ability to go the full line. The full line, no, come knocking on doors and shaking hands is a thing.
some candidates are able to run solely off of last name or
Yeah.
popularity.
Mhm.
In relation to the three of us, I know that one, we're younger. I have the name
We have a call coming
recognition,
up. This show is popping.
but people only. I guess we'll take the call. We'll take the call and then.
Okay.
I'll continue.
Good morning. Welcome to Mind, Body, and Soul.
Good morning, correct. Is Jennifer there?
Yes, hold on.
Yeah, you walk in it like a pro. Yeah, but
Jan, line one.
as I was saying, I know what we're up against as younger candidates. One, me personally, people being able to see me outside of the tourism cultural festival light, and people realizing that there's more to me outside of that. Also, Mojanai and Chris also being much younger candidates, don't necessarily have name recognition or any sort of visibility in the community, but have a lot to offer, right? So I know immediately what we're up against. I know what we are up against. But I think that we have done an extremely great job at showing up. The community know who we are. People know their names. I do tell Mojanai all the time. My name is hard to pronounce, but that's your brand. Own it. Do not allow people to forget it, because if they don't know how to pronounce it, they'll remember what it looks like, and that's also important when it comes to putting your name on the ballot, right? So, and I tell Chris all the time, Christopher Jacob Jr. some generic. You need something to stand out. Remind people who you are. And again, that's all. It all ties in with my marketing background as well. So
I'm gonna hire you when I run for president. I feel like you've got this strategy down to science because everything you're saying was learning curves for me. So I didn't have a Shamari when I decided to run the first time, right? In 2018, it was just Manuela with a dream, you know. And the assumption I born and raised here, so everybody know me. That's not true. Half the island didn't even know who the heck I was, first of all. But most importantly, everybody outside my generation didn't know who I was. So in my brain, everybody was just my generation, technically. The younger people know Miss Bella and Miss Perez because I work with children and I work with young people. But the older people were calling me Miss Bella too. And do you know what my name is? Not Bella. So these are like learning curves that you get. I want us to segue into the board. Like you could have run for anything. You was the legal age and the ability to run for anything. Why start at the boards?
Well, the main reason for me starting on the board is that while being a product of our educational system, I'm a proud father of three beautiful children. And while being a father, I understand that I recognize the strengths and the weaknesses within our educational system. I recognize where we came from and where we are now. So, in my mind, how can I give back to the same system that raised me to ensure that my children have a top quality education better than what I had, while being too that myself, Shamari, in our inner circle, we have the conversations about the state of the territory. We always talk about how can we make home better, how can we do this, and from those brainchilds, they stem vital. From vital, you have forward, and many more to come. So it was just a matter of stepping up to the plate and a matter of stop talking and doing.
Action.
Okay.
And not only that, if you look at any great society, you would see that education is the foundation, is the backbone, right? Like education is what leads to economic development, it's what leads to good health care. It education is tied into everything because schools are like a mini ecosystem. It's a mini society. That's where everything comes in together. The infrastructure being the buildings, the technology, the food that and nutrition that the students and teachers eat. Like all of it comes together in education. And like Chris said, us being products of the public education school system, we saw and we walked halls with the students that skipped class or skipped school because they were disengaged. We saw the students who literally came to school because that was the only opportunity they had to eat. When they would leave school, they had no opportunities at home to eat. We saw the students who experienced difficult lives at home and school was their solace. So we saw all of that, and being raised in that and experiencing the gaps, we found it upon ourselves, like he said, not only talking about solutions, but being the solution, being the change. And that's part of what led us to run for the
And
board.
just wanting to bridge wisdom with innovation. It's not really about replacing the season with new, but we want to bridge a gap with wisdom and innovation. Us being younger generation, being a part of the policies that were set in the board. I remember when the three of us were at an event and we were talking to a lady and she asked me, she said, "Why you graduated?" I tell her 2023. So she told me, "Oh, you are a COVID baby."
Yeah.
I said, "Correct, yes, I was." I always say, no matter where I go, my class of 2023 worldwide was the only class that did not experience a full 4 years of high school. Ninth grade, we came in, the pandemic hit. Governor Bryan made the decision that we need to close down the schools, and credit, I don't know if you were on the board at that time,
Absolutely.
but credit to you and the leadership of Governor Bryan and the department and the administration for making a decision and creating a higher learning. And it was a new thing for everybody. But
Well, the future's bright. But for me, that was one of those moments where we're planting a seed that I hope by now is a big forest, but it's still a seed.
But no,
So we're
and
working
this
on it.
is where, when I'm elected to the board, I can bring that innovation. I could bring that, if God forbid something like that has to happen again, this is what we need to do to ensure that proficiency rates doesn't drop, to ensure that students aren't disengaged, to make sure that students are engaging. And how can we make sure that if a student doesn't understand, how can they get that one-on-one thing with a teacher to help them catch up to their classmates or bridge that, I'll say, the academic gap.
One thing that Shamari has shown us through his experience, right, is that fresh perspectives are needed for two main reasons. One is continuity, right? Because people won't remain in the same positions forever, right? We all have a lifespan. But two is the perspective that you bring in, because we live in an ever-changing world. So things don't remain the same. Technology is, I said it earlier this week when we were on our show on 101.3 FM. The rate at which technology is advancing is like compressing. Like, before it used to take like 50 years, 20 years to get like a significant new technological advance. Now it's like 3 years, 2 years. So like things are changing rapidly, and we have to make sure that we're keeping up with how we live in the world today.
You said on your show, maybe it wasn't your show, but you said this before, that you're an engineer, so you're in the business of solutions.
Correct.
Right? So that sparked my brain, because the key to solutions is making sure that you're able to actually apply it. Right? Like, so we figured out the solution. What I've learned is,
and I have to work for whatever the situation is.
Right.
What
I've learned on the board is we have the solution, but we never had the foundation. Correct. So a lot of an example of what we were talking about with digital learning. Even though I am 100%, we need school options. I do not see why traditional school or homeschool is the only two options in the Virgin Islands to get free education, right? Because you can do a private school education, but that's not free. I'm looking at free education options. Digital learning did not have a foundation in Title 17 to even give that option. So when we ran and we did it in COVID time, before we could implement it, we had to go back to the legislature and say, hey, we need a digital learning option. There was a reason why when you got sent home, you only used to get handouts, because digital learning was not an option in the Virgin Islands. So we go back now and there's a digital learning, but what the strangulation was that the language says digital learning is used in case of emergency. Because we can't do traditional, then we go there. So when the emergency went away, you see, so here we go back to solutions now. So now we're here at this place. Where would your solution be, Mojaya, of getting this great opportunity to have digital learning as a public school option and recognizing that the current law only says it's during an emergency?
Well, that's definitely one thing that the board will have to come to a consensus on, first of all, and then next would be approaching the legislature. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to believe that I know the board meets annually with the legislature to present the SMAR report.
Yes.
I would argue, or I would suggest that the board should consider meeting more regularly with the legislature, not only waiting until we present the annual report to the legislature and the executive team, but just having, let's say, like quarterly meetings with the legislature so that we're continuously showing the progress that the board is making, but also raising the issues and the concerns that we see. This digital learning legislation being one of them. I don't necessarily believe that it should only be used for emergencies, but we literally live in a digital age, right? And access is very important. So we have to look at how we can provide access to our children in terms of getting education. Are we able to provide the resources that they need? Are we able to ensure that, everyone learns in different ways, right? There isn't one standard way of learning. So potentially, because we're not implementing digital learning, there's so many students that could have better opportunities in life with that digital learning that we're missing right now, because that's not being implemented.
So I don't want the audience to think when we say no digital learning, there are programs, when you was in school, there were programs that you could take for credit recovery and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm saying, I only want to do online schooling. I don't want to sit down in a traditional classroom. I want my son to do online schooling, and I want the government to pay for it. That is where I'm asking us to go. So there's a level of digital learning. You guys have a CELIS, you've seen Smarter Balance, we've done those. Those are technically digital learning. And there's people who argue that's enough.
And I would
we
also
want our
say,
children in front of people. We don't want our children online. And that's truly the argument.
But there's successful ways, right? We could look at the best practices for how digital learning in that aspect is implemented.
A consensus majority drives home policy. I channeling my kid right now because that is so important for you to keep in
Because
mind.
it exists.
It's not. It does exist, but what also exists is that you need 7 votes to get that,
Mm.
and then you need to get 9 of the 15 over here to get that.
And majority of the votes were raised in a traditional environment. So
Oh!
yeah. So the idea of digital learning, it does not connect. It does not work because they weren't raised in that.
But we
Let's
need,
go. Oh, go ahead.
but I think what we need to do is we need to find the benefits and pros and cons, and this is where I say, from a research first perspective, you have a young board member and you say, Chris, when we implemented the digital learning policy for COVID, how did that affect you? How did you see that affecting your classmates? What were some things that you thought we could have improved on, and what were some things that you thought were good, but let's just say we need to tweak it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things like with digital learning was it was hard for some teachers.
No, that's what the survey says. We saw the surveys. We know
it was hard.
it was parents was for it, right? Some parents who don't like the idea of my child being home all day was not. But I would believe, if my memory serves me right, we had a great support of parents. Teachers not so much. Administration not so much. Students mixed feelings. Right, we had some students who were like, keep me at this. You know, we had parents who write us letters like, don't let this money go away, make this a thing. But we also had people who said, my children were falling asleep in front of the computer. My, like, so we had a mix. And then when we got the numbers back in the testing, it wasn't that much of a difference, pro or not. So I couldn't even argue. But look at the success and the outcomes, because it really didn't move the needle that much in that. But my argument at the time was, it's a baby initiative. Like, we just throw this out there. Give it some time to grow.
Give credit to you guys. You guys really did good. I have to give credit to you.
Thank you. That
guys
feels
did
so
good. You guys did
let's
good.
let's transition into the thanklessness of this job that you're applying for. Right? Like, the reality is that everything that you're saying and doing right now is going to take time to work. How are you going to get your community and all of your constituents who vote for you to follow along with you through the process so that they don't feel bamboozled at the end, or Ayo ain't doing nothing, because you're gonna become an Ayo real quick. Right now you're Chris Amo and Shamari, but in a little bit, Ayo at elections ain't doing nothing. Ayo at education ain't doing nothing. What is your plans to keep your constituents with you through the process?
So we work within the engineering department at the Virgin Islands Port Authority, right? Me and Chris. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and Chris is studying construction management at UVI. And we have, well, in the Port Authority, we do the full life cycle of engineering projects, right? So from concept and design all the way to construction and it being implemented, and actually, you could see it and interact with it. And in the design phase, one thing that we have learned, especially when it comes to like master plans and concepts and stuff like that, is that you have to do a good job at engaging your community throughout every step, throughout the entire process. It's very important to make sure that you get their feedback, because in implementing a solution that should benefit the community, you have to ensure that you get their perspective, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how they intend to use whatever the end product is. So that constant communication, that constant feedback loop is very important. So that's one thing I would say along every step, whatever decisions we make, whatever topics or discussions that we're having within the board, it's very important that we do a good job to ensure that the community is abreast of what the board is engaging in.
So even though we don't have that educational background, our work life prepared us for this.
Okay.
Being in the construction field, being in construction engineering and construction management, a lot of people don't understand that is a very taxing field within itself. You have constant communication, and give a shout out to our boss. I know he listening, but he instilled in us the art of communication, how to always keep each other in the loop, how to keep people in the loop. So we have reoccurring meetings every Monday where we discuss our priorities for the week. What are our tasks? What do we plan to do? So I think that's one way that we would engage with our community. We don't have the system integrated with us, not keeping the community out of the loop. Like Mo said, how is the product that we're producing, how is it going to affect you? So in construction, you have to always understand when you're doing the design phase, that's when you go back to the governor, you go back to the office of disaster recovery, you say, okay, this is what we plan to propose. How would that affect the people of the Virgin Islands?
Okay. This is good. We're going to dive into, when we come back from our break, the committees, right? Because you're talking about a public-private liaison committee.
Right.
You're talking about
curriculum.
Curriculum and instruction. I really want to dive into you because you talked about testing scores and the way we look at it. And again, that's one of those things that I feel like, hey, let's talk about it. So when we get back from the break, we're going to dive in a little bit and then we'll wrap it up. The people I said they love Iowa. The woman on the team says she loves their young Am I on? Is this still Here we go. Welcome back to Mind, Body, and Soul. We are in the studio and we have a call. So we're going to take our call, then we're going to go into the discussion of our committees. Good morning. Welcome to Mind, Body, and Soul.
Good morning, Nemmy and company. How are you all?
It's good, Mr. Names is Emanuela today, but Nemmy is in spirit. So just go ahead and call her name still.
Okay, good. If I sound a bit tired, it's because I am. I'm out in Texas as a FEMA reservist with all this rain and more to come.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize Texas was raining so hard. We are over here begging for some.
That is top news. I mean, so many people drowning. And, I mean, it's just crazy. Just
wow. I did not know that. I will go back and look at that. I've been following other things. You know, it's the season in the Virgin Islands for election time. So The floods of Texas is not getting my attention right now, but I'm gonna go back and look.
We're stuck in that.
Okay. So let me ask you, since you talk about election, are you joining Nemmy on the ballot?
No, I am not on the ballot, but we have Mr. Dennis on the ballot, we have Mr. Mojaya on the ballot, and we have Mr. Shamari on the ballot for the board this year.
I'm Mr. Jacobs.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
maybe
yes.
next time you'll run for the presidency.
Sorry.
Anyway, I just want to take some time for us to ask for some prayers for particularly children with things that are happening, strange things that are happening during this summer season. I mean, it started already. I mean, and particularly with the sun being so hot with the heat index. A lot of children are taken to pools and where there's water parks and all of that, and a lot of them are getting drowned.
Oh.
I mean, it is really, really sad. And, you know, I always reach out to mothers as our first bearers, and of course, those that taught us. And there's this one lady, I forget what state it's in right now, but she has a set of triplets. Young, maybe just 13 and under, and was around 13. Yes, and they were missing. However, when the police and the searchers and everybody else gave up, Mommy said she not giving up them because she ran. And thank you, Jesus, she found them alive.
That's right.
I said, you mothers are phenomenal people. And I will close by saying, we voted for Nemmy.
Yay! Thank you so much for listening in, Mr. Davis. I really love that tune, Thomas, and I want to play my head.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Have
Okay.
a good, beautiful day, and keep supporting the people of Texas. And of course, we will pray for all of our children. Our children
Yes,
is
right.
the future.
So have a good weekend on. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Charles Nibbs.
Yeah. He is absolutely right that the children are the future, and that's why
Correct.
building systems that support our children is very important, right? And so
Mhm.
let's go into a little bit of our committees. You have talked about Mr. Jacobs, and I'm sorry for forgetting you because I swear I said Chris Mojaya, but this is
The excitement.
the excitement. The truth be told, when I was a teacher, I used to call all my students sweetheart, honey, and handsome because I have a problem with names. Serious. I'd be like,
My
oh,
name would have
come
butchered
here,
you.
handsome. Oh,
If you
Mo,
only know.
Mo, you would have been,
If
come
you
here,
only
handsome.
know.
Come here, smart. Like, I would have been calling you adjectives because your name, the only reason why it sticks with me is because it's Mo. Like Mo sticks the beginning. Then I have to stand here and pronounce Janaya. It's not Janaya. It has another skit to it. Mo Janaya.
Yes.
Got it. Chris, let's talk about testing. I too believe that testing is important, but how we test and what we test matters. And I don't think we'd have enough of that conversation. You're actually the first person I've seen challenge the notion of how we analyze our children's growth. I appreciate that. Tell me about it. Tell me why you came up with that idea that we need to really look at that before we keep saying everybody can't read and everybody can't add.
Because again, perspective. When I used to take the smarter balance test, our teachers used to tell us, make sure that you do your best on the test. It's a standardized test and it bridges the gaps and understands where you are. In reality, we never took the test serious. And I know my mommy listening right now, and I ain't talking about me. I ain't talking about me right now.
The other children?
The other children.
I saw them, Mom.
Yeah,
I saw them.
They never took the test serious because they didn't saw the need to take it serious. You just go in, click, 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 click. When it comes to the typing part, this is what you used to do. You type, I saw a dog, done, submit. The teachers. So, no, right? You saying, in theory, when you get back the results, you're saying, okay, this is where this child is at. And in reality, they're not really there. They're not. I'm telling you, they're not. It's just because they never took the standardized testing serious. So I think we need to have a discussion. The Board of Education, Commissioner of Education, the legislature, the executive branch, and we really need to sit down and we need to say, okay, what can we do to properly evaluate our students to understand where we need to place them and where they are? And I went through the school management accountability report, and I had to take out this part because it stood out to me one thing, because I said, wait, this is one of my platform points. So I'm glad that the board recognizes that this is what we need to change, but we need to pass the phase of reports, and we need to transfer into, okay, how are we going to apply them?
So the beautiful thing about this idea that you have is that this is not under us, right? So we have to convince the department to adopt a new way of evaluating our children. So even if we should have point, Sharon ain't taking the test. The first idea they did, remember, there was a time when we used to use Ohio State testing.
That's correct.
So we created our own. It was like, the problem is that we're talking about potatoes, our children need to talk about conch. So even though now, because you're in the conch stage,
I love it.
you're in the conch stage, right? Your testing talked about local things. Like you weren't tested on topics that was foreign to your understanding of life. And you still sit on there and do what I did when I got the Ohio test. And I was like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. The only reason why I stopped doing this is because I realized I still have to sit on there even when I done, because you're timed, right? Like so in my brain, the first time I did it back in the day, and standardized test came about when I was in like junior high and high school. And we started saying we're going to evaluate our children based on standardized
But
testing.
you know, the interesting thing about it is I went through that transitional phase. I went from taking the Ohio test.
Is it the Iowa test there?
Iowa.
Taking
not Ohio.
Where we at there?
Vital, yes.
But it was created by Ohio State.
Yes, it was.
Vital,
That's correct.
yes.
So I remember my third grade year, I took the Vital test, right?
But Vital was the beginning of the Virgin Islands testing. That was not Ohio.
And I love the Vital testing, to be honest. I loved it. And we transferred over. That's when I remember my following year, we came into Common Core, and I already know. So that was a whole new mind-boggling concept for everyone, because we went from taking the Vital testing to I ready, right? And then of course I achieved 3,000.
I understand.
All of them.
All of the ways to assess us
all of
so
the
that we
ways.
can be able to start gathering information, because before they weren't capturing the data. So we're making assumptions. Then we started capturing the data, and the data said nobody could read, everybody this. But yet Virgin Islands is going after colleges all over the world and becoming doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, engineers. How is that possible?
But even before you start, this is from like an engineering perspective, right? Even before you start evaluating something, you have to identify what is your desired outcome. What is the desired end product? So when that comes, so when that comes to education and our students, right? Is the desired outcome to just have a high graduation rate and push children through the high school system? Or, for example, what I believe we should be tracking is, our students ending up in the occupations and the careers that they desire. So if I enter high school, if I enter into the 9th grade and I express that I want to be a pilot, hopefully by the time I graduate, I have gone and experienced and had exposure to pilot training and aviation. And after graduation, you or the Board of Education and the Department of Education can track that I have been placed in an aviation school or is attending an aviation program. So that's just like a shift that we should consider, right? It's not just about graduating and, because our graduation rate is 97%, but then when you look at our proficiencies, most of them, if not all, are below 50%. So what's that disconnect?
Where's that gap? Those are the discussions that we have, and I'm glad to hear that you guys are fully prepared to have these kind of discussions. It's excellent. We have two more things I want to dive into. One, you guys are running as a team. Teamwork don't work on a campaign, but teamwork don't work at the boardroom. Every man got to stand on its own bottom when we get inside of the boardroom. Every tub must stand on its own bottom. Not every person. Not every man. Every man that stand on his feet, every tub that stand on his bottom. But the point is, I'm interested to see, what does that dynamic look like, right? Like, what are some values that you personally have that you're going to bring to your perspective that your fellow board members, when you get on, and your community could count on, that's coming with you? Mr. Jacobs, and then you tell me the same thing. What are the values that's coming with you?
Well, the values that are coming with me is, as you mentioned, Emmanuel, one of them is our standardized testing and the way how we evaluate our students. And the next thing is career trade readiness programs working in collaboration with the Career and Technical Education Board alongside with UVI. And again, to the school management accountability report, I saw that how are we preparing and collaborating with showing the options that our students can take, whether that's college or online options. And I think it all dies down to exposure.
But quick question. When you say values, I just want to clarify. Are we talking about values in terms of like character traits?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
okay. Our character traits.
Yes.
Well, my values is definitely integrity, and integrity for sure. Making sure that everyone has a respect for the system, especially me. And our next thing is, I just thinking about it now. I think integrity is the big one because for me,
Are you level-headed?
yeah,
You consider
definitely.
yourself level-headed?
Out of the three of us, I'm the most level-headed. But but
I totally disagree. But okay. It's your wall, have it.
Will, let me do that. Let me do that.
Yeah, no,
Let me
it's
do that.
okay. It's okay for you to feel this way. If you're level-headed, what does that mean for you?
This is an opportunity to challenge, by the way. But go ahead.
Mhm.
I know when to turn it on, and I know when to turn it off.
Okay.
Nobody can really get me to account. It's my decision whether I go account or not. And I always understood that. Credit to my mother and my family members. My mother, my grandmother, my whole wide of my village. They always instilled in me that anytime you walk through in life, you have to walk through that everybody is watching you. You just never know. One wrong decision that could change your life. So, and I think I do well under pressure. Conversations, having tough conversations, not a challenging thing for me. If we could always agree to disagree, and I understand that you have your perspective and I have mine, but it will never reach a level of where I disrespect you and I say,
Personally.
oh, I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. No,
That's
we
good.
could always agree to disagree.
That's good.
Because at the
Coming
end
into
of the day,
feel of that.
because at the end of the day, all of us are doing the work for the people of the Virgin Islands,
That's
and we bring a shared perspective to get the same thing done. And this is why we chose to run as a collective to show people, to show our generation that politics ain't bad.
No,
It's not bad.
necessary.
It's necessary, but it's not bad. You could have level-headed discussions, and you could always agree to. The three of us, we always agree to disagree all the
We
time.
don't know that. I ain't sharing that in the street.
But
In the streets, it looks like kumbaya in the house. But Jaya, talk to me a little bit about your character.
So respect is number one for me. I am a very passionate person and my opinions are very unique. So I always go into conversations expecting a rebuttal. And that's okay because it sharpens my perspective and it also sharpens the rebutter's perspective. So respect is number one. In being on the board, I do not intend to disrespect any board member or make their opinion feel invalid in any way. With that being said, however, as I said, I am a very passionate person, so I'll be sure to express my opinion and hold my ground and stand in it, but respectfully, of course.
That's,
right?
that's been my greatest gift on the board. No, seriously, like respect was definitely my first thought, and in between, I had to learn how to respectfully disagree, right?
Right.
Because that's the only way the conversation keeps going.
Mhm.
But I also found the importance of showing up.
Mm.
Not just showing up for the things that you think important and the topics that you think important. Showing up even when that agenda look like, what are we talking about? And why am I giving up my life for this? Right? That's important
Yes,
too, because
it
there's
is.
matters that maybe are not on our forefront, but it absolutely is on the forefront of somebody in our community.
Correct.
And when you do these type of work, you
And they're the conduit for that.
You got exactly.
Yes.
That's what public service
A
about.
meeting cannot go if you cannot pay a quorum.
Also patience,
Committees
right?
is where the real hard work is. By the time you come to the board meeting at the end of the month, you done discussed this 552 different times. And even though you didn't win in committee, right, the motion that was passed was still against who you had. You still going to the full board meeting and you still have to express that. Like I sat in that meeting and I just want the other members to know who was not in that meeting. This, and this. Or shut up and keep your lips closed because sometimes in what the antagonizing of other members.
No, I'm
like,
a team player, right? I have patience and I'm a team player, but for the record, you will know what my stance is. My stance will be clear, but as a team, we have a common goal. So if the consensus is moving towards something that I'm not aligned with, I will make that clear.
Yes.
But that's the process. That's what democracy is like, right?
Absolutely.
So I will do my part in moving forward with that.
I remember when that digital policy came out and those specific little language parts that spoke specifically to emergency. I was like, no, sir, we want this. But the board on the whole thought it was a good step in the right direction because we did not have any digital language before that. So putting something in place to ensure that children didn't get handouts was what the main goal was for them. But for me, it was putting the structure in place so that we can expand our education system. It's not that we're against each other. It's just those little things. So now it's like, oh God, now we got to go back to the same language.
And something is like, well, you want to start first, right? Like you feel you should start here, but other people think you should start here. So
that is
same vision, same goal. It's just different approaches.
And the mindset of how you take it.
Yes.
Right? Like I could sit down here and be like, I know this was going to happen. I would be right back here right there.
And that happens amongst us, right? Like
really?
Tuesday, Tuesday we're actually talking about a shared vision for the Virgin Islands, right? And it was discovered amongst the ear and the listeners that I am an optimist. I'm a dreamer.
Me too,
right?
Too.
Like
me too.
I thinking big and I want us to go for it. And
but there's a reason why all of us are not running nowhere much dreamers.
Right.
It would be up in the air too far.
Shamari is a pragmatist. I wouldn't say a pessimist.
He's pragmatic.
He's pragmatic. He is focused on the reality of the situation
today.
And what needs to get
don't worry about
today.
Think about what tomorrow could look like. It's people like me and you and people like you. And this is what the board dynamics will be like. I'm so happy that y'all getting a taste of it. Because it's true, because he's still a good guy, right? But for people like us, you're limiting us to this reality.
Yes.
But realistically, we can't get to our zone without going through the reality of
It's true. It's true.
And this is the good work that we have, and this is what makes this type of like exciting for people like Emanuela. Oh, we got a call. Hold on. Good morning. Welcome to Mind, Body, and Soul.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this Fresh from the Farm radio show?
No. This isn't Fresh from the Farm. This is Mind, Body, and Soul with Nemmy Williams.
Oh, I apologize. I was trying to get onto the Fresh from the Farm agriculture show. I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, have a beautiful day. So y'all done the team.
Yeah, we
have a boot camp going on. How to run a campaign, how to be on a board. Maybe we need to expand this, Shamai. It sounds like something.
It's just we just align well. We align very well. So I'm very opinionated. Very much like Mo, I stand firmly in whatever I believe. And I don't necessarily need people to co-sign, my feelings or my opinions. However, I also respect the differentiating opinions. It really just boils down to respect. I don't agree with all the things that people say.
Yeah.
But I'm also good at, okay, well, cool. I'll sit back and I'll watch how you do it.
Yeah.
And if it happens where it's pretty successful, great. If it turns out where it's not so successful or you guys get bruised up, then I'll be out with a little cold towel to make you feel good. But experiencing the beat up is also a part of the process, and I know that just based off experience. I don't think that everybody should be baptized by fire, but in certain cases, I think
a little fire will make you a little strong. Yeah, a little heat.
No, we
don't kill you. But you'll feel it. And I learned to respect that from my fellow board members, right? Like, so when I first came on, even keeping that mindset of, this is my trial and error. This ain't nobody doing me nothing, right? Like, you gotta self-talk yourself. You say you level-headed people are the people that we go to with all our ideas, right? Because I feel like he's going to give it to me exactly how it is in a calm way, not too much emotion, not too much nothing. But the problem is that you're carrying everybody words in your head. So when you come up now to have an earnest conversation, you know how Shamari feel, you know how Mo feel, you know how Emanuela feel, but you still gotta keep your
core,
yeah. Yes. So the training ground that I on is fabulous, right? Like, and everybody who've never experienced it need to look at what y'all are doing and really, really consider like, I wonder if I could do it, right? Like,
I was told yesterday that I'm not challenging them enough. But I think what people want to see or hear is me challenging them publicly. But I think that sometimes that could appear as an attack, and I don't want to do that to people who I genuinely really look at the job done.
Yeah, no, I honestly, Shamari, at a battle that and all these type of interviews, we could sit out here and go back and forth on Emanuela perspective and your perspective, but that's not really what this scene is about, right? This scene is about giving somebody else the opportunity to meet who you are and give you the opportunity to truly see what your community wants. Because when you decided to run, you know how in your head what you think they want.
Right.
As you're out here on this
what we think education needs.
What you
right?
think education needs,
Correct.
exactly. But and not just what education needs, the system. How you gonna get to the people who benefited from this system, right? Because you ain't benefiting more, you out of public school.
Right.
So now you're building the system for your children to benefit from. But what you're learning is different than what you thought.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about the one great thing as we close out that you learned so far in this experience. Let's have 1 minute. Tell me, what have you learned?
I would say the major thing I learned that was different from my experience, definitely just the functions of the board. The board does so much more than the public is aware of. And in fact, a lot of people aren't aware of the board in general. Like they think of, like, they hear Board of Education and they're just like, oh, like it's actually a board, like, it does board work. Yeah, like, yes, it does. So, the board does so much in terms of adapting curriculum and creating educational policy, the financial and scholarships. So, yeah.
Close up. What's yours?
The art of showing up.
The art of showing up is an art by itself. We're going to write about that in the future. I'll let you co-write it with me.
For me, I guess me personally, just balancing my perspective with that of individuals who are older and may have a more seasoned point of view. Balance.
Thank you, listening audience. You have been listening to Mind, Body, and Soul. Jen is in the studio. She is not playing around with our time. Have a beautiful morning. Stay tuned to the next show that's coming up because there's more of you. And make sure you get out there and support Nemmy's breakfast sale this morning in front of KFC. She finally come to the east side in Sunny Isles. So let's go out there and get a plate of food. I'm going to go grab mine before the next show. Brothers.
Thank you.
See you on the leadership table, my son. See you on the leadership table. Have a beautiful day, Virgin Islands. Enjoy it. Okay, I don't need to see. Take a